Welcome to another episode of One on One with Mitch Lafon. I am your host, Mitch Lafon. Joining me this week, Tony Harnell of, no, not TNT, Skid Row. And of course, this episode is brought to you by the Heavy Montreal Festival, taking place August 7th, 8th, and 9th in beautiful downtown Montreal at Parc Jean Drapeau. Slipknot, Faith No More, Korn, Lamb of God, Iggy Pop, Warrant, Dokken, Lita Ford, Gojira, and many, many more. Head over to our Facebook page. We have got a contest going on, 2 pairs of tickets to give away. And of course, this week joining us as our co-host, Bill Leverty. Good day, Bill.
Hey, Brother Mitch, thanks for having me back, man. Good to talk to you. You sound great this week.
I'm getting there. Whatever is going on in terms of colds, flus, bronchitis, pneumonia, heart, whatever, it's turning the corner. And it's all thanks to the power of rock and roll. So there you go.
Amen. Amen. Testify.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's songs like yours, Strong, that keep me strong. Your new single, which has been getting a lot of hits on Twitter and Facebook. I see people seem to be really reacting to it, loving it, enjoying it, retweeting it, reposting it. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm glad people are taking hold of it. It's a song that hopefully everybody will get a chance to listen to. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Thank you for mentioning it.
Now, I know that you're able to go see it on Facebook and Twitter, and there's links there, and it's on Spotify for those who want to stream it. Is it up on iTunes yet?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
up there, Amazon, CD Baby, but the place to listen to it, I would think the best for me anyway would be at my website, Leverty.com. You can go click it there, and if you like it, you can own it.
There you go. Yeah, owning it is always important. Speaking of owning it, Tony Harnell now owns the lead singer spot in Skid Row. Great news, actually. I don't want to put down Sebastian, and I don't want to put down Johnny, but Tony is a really solid choice. You've had a chance to play or tour with TNT and Tony before?
Yeah, we sure did. We did a couple shows with those guys in Europe, and he's just a phenomenal singer live. And like you said, no disrespect to Sebastian, who we all love, and no disrespect to Johnny, who carried the torch so well for the Skids for 12 years or so. Great guy, great singer. And Tony is just one of those guys with a remarkable voice who, he's just a phenomenal singer, super cool guy. And the Skid Row guys are all phenomenal musicians. They got the magic. I can see why John Bon Jovi picked them up and pushed them, and like he did, because they're a great band. And with Tony singing now, I think they're going to be a show that everybody's going to want to go see. You won't want to miss that tour.
Yeah, absolutely not. And what I'm looking forward to is when they get to start writing new material, just because you look at the Skid Row songs, the hits, I Remember You, Youth Gone Wild, it's all Bolan and Sabo, Rachel and Snake. But then you look at the TNT stuff, and it's all Harnell. So now you sort of got a dream team, right? You've got the big writer of TNT coming in with the hit writers of Skid Row. Hopefully all 3 of them will get together, and I think they could create some really fantastic music. He's more than just a singer, and I think that's exciting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be something really to check out in the future, because I think they're perfect for each other. I think it's a really good choice, and I'm not sure exactly how it all went down, but I'm really happy for everybody involved, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with in the future. I can't wait to see them live. Hopefully we can do some shows with them.
Oh yeah, that'll be great, and hopefully we can get both of you to Heavy Montreal in 2016. That would also be very great for me, because you'd be in my hometown, making life easier.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but just to finish, the next album, if we see, Bolan, Sabo, Harnell as the song critics, not critics. What am I trying to say? Credits.
Writers.
The writers. I think that's a very exciting prospect, and I certainly hope it happens. Now, you mentioned you want to know how it all goes down. Well, lucky enough, I spent half an hour on the phone with Tony, and he explains how everything went down. So let's sit back and enjoy Tony Harnell, now of Skid Row. How does that sound to you, now of Skid Row?
I'm getting used to it still.
Yeah.
It's a little weird to see it in writing. It's also strange to hear it, but it feels good, man. It feels real good.
Yeah, you know, Rachel and Scotty and Snake are really great guys. Were you a fan of Skid Row in the 80s and 90s, or were they more your competition?
You know, I mean, I'm one of those guys that kind of didn't really listen to the other 80s bands that much.
Right. Well, that's what I figured,
But
because you seem to be more of
yeah,
a 70s guy.
I am, and that's really where my roots are. And don't forget, TNT kind of started way before the quote hair metal thing took off. I mean,
Hmm.
my first album with the band was recorded in '84, came out in Europe in '84, in America in '85. So we were kind of way ahead of the curve of the whole, thing exploding. It
Right.
was Tell No Tales in '87, when we had our first sort of breakthrough album. That was more when things started to really take off with that genre. But no, I mean, my relationship with Skid Row is very special because it goes back to meeting Sebastian before the first record even came out. He ran across, I don't remember what club. I was in a New York City club, and he ran across the room and introduced himself to me, and told me that I was one of his favorite singers. And so we hit it off and became friends. I heard the first album before it came out, so that's how far back my history goes. And then
Wow.
they ended up having the same manager that we had before, which was McGee Entertainment. And then at one point later, we were label mates on Atlantic. So, but we were kind of we traveled in the same circles. We knew a lot of the same people, and we were sort of acquaintances. And Sebastian and I were buddies for a while, and then kind of drifted apart like people do. Nothing, no animosity or bad feelings, and just kind of, our friendship always kind of went back and forth depending on, who got in touch with who. But always loved the guys. And was I a fan of the band? My honest answer would be I was as much of a fan as anybody else who heard the big hits on the radio and saw them on MTV.
Right.
And but I wasn't. I honestly, I didn't sit and put a Skid Row record on and listen to it and study it, and from that standpoint. But I always thought they were a great band. I thought they were probably the coolest band that came out of the last, I guess, the last wave of '80s hard rock bands. I thought they were the coolest one because they were the heaviest one, and I don't know, they just had an air of cool about them that was more akin to the vibe that Guns N' Roses had, as opposed to, say, that wave of all those other bands that I won't mention that
Right.
were a lot more airy-fairy, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Right. But now you actually get to study the albums to prepare for the live shows that are coming up later this year. Are you
Yeah.
discovering anything on them, or are you surprised? Or is it heavier than you thought? Is it, what are you discovering through this process?
I'm discovering what a great band they are, and I mean, honestly, getting into the rehearsal room with them, was a really great experience. I haven't played with two guitar players together in since I was probably like 18 years old in some of my early cover bands. So that was really fun, especially being a Judas Priest fan and loving the dual guitar thing. And going back to the old '70s metal stuff. That was great. What I'm discovering about the band is that they're a metal band with punk influences, heavy punk influences, and I hear a lot of different things I like in there, and I hear things that I hope I'll be able to to bring to the equation. I think it's kind of easy to to sort of work myself into most of the Sebastian stuff, but it's not going to sound the same because I'm not the same singer, but and I love the Johnny stuff too, actually. And there's a lot of great songs on those records, actually. I think that probably people just missed because the era was over, and it was they were sort of carrying the weight of that name, which right now isn't weight anymore. It's actually a very strong brand. So, but there's a song in particular called Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost is great, by the way.
Yeah, it was one of these things where before I went down for my first week of rehearsals with them just to kind of groove and see if it was all going to work. Rachel called me at the last minute and said, "Did I tell you to learn Ghost?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Ah, crap. Well, if you can, try to get it down." So I was already like knee deep in a million songs, and I was trying to absorb as much as I could. And I threw that on, and I loved it so much that I got it down pretty quickly, and we went through it down there, and it's one of my favorites. And hopefully we'll be playing that a lot live. So I think if any other band put that song out, when it was actually done, I actually think it would have been a hit,
Yeah, Ghost was a great song, and that album, Thick Skin, had New Generation and Thick as the Skin also. Those are sort of my three favorites from that album. Now that you're there, do you see this more as sort of the summer job and you're just going to go out and do the shows, or do you think this is a band moving forward and you want to make your own album with them? Is there new music being talked about?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of our first conversations is, my heart was already, I did my year with TNT. As I said in my last interview, which has now been well publicized.
Yep.
I did my year with the band fully intending on having it work for the long haul.
Right.
And without getting into details, it didn't work. I wanted it to work, but it didn't. So my heart was already starting to fall out of it, and I had done all that I could to keep it together. And so by the time I got my first text from Rachel Bolan, I realized that my thoughts about putting that to rest and letting that be finally just putting it in my past was going to be a reality. Not because I thought I had the gig or anything, but because I realized there were other opportunities out there for me that I should be looking into. And I was definitely wanting to be in an American band. I'm an American guy, and I thought that it was time for me. I just kind of am over, being in a European band for many reasons. I love European rock, hard rock. Some of my favorite bands are from England, and I love the Scorpions, and I love, a lot of Swedish acts. And so that sound is great. But, I mean, if you're going to work hard, it's just a lot easier if most of your shows are taking place in the country you live in.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So, so that was a big goal of mine. And to actually have these guys approach me, I mean, I've turned down other 80s bands because I just didn't want to do it. And I've turned down a lot of things that probably would have made me money, because I try to have as much integrity as I possibly can,
right.
And yet still not let myself go broke, But this was something that I felt was a good fit. I love the guys, and as we got to know each other through this process the last couple months, I just feel really good about it. So. It is to answer your question, it's not a summer job. It's not a part-time thing. It actually came up before I had officially left TNT, that they wanted me to, they wanted this to be my priority. No problem with side projects and recording projects and, doing my own shows when we're not working and solo records and things like that. No problem. But, in terms of being the lead singer of a moniker band,
right.
They wanted Skid Row to be my priority, and that's completely fine with me. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Now, one of the last side projects you did was Tony Harnell and the Wildflowers featuring Bumblefoot, which was over on Pledge Music. I pledged for it. I ended up, of course, receiving it. Fun album.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else going to happen with Bumblefoot, or anything else happening with the Wildflowers, or any other Pledge music? I mean, are you going to do other solo stuff, or is it really just sort of Skid Row for the next year and then we'll see?
I mean, I'm already signed on to do another Starbreaker album with Frontiers, so I'll knock that out. I'll knock that out whenever I can get to it. But we don't have an exact timeline for that. But I'm sure I'll be juggling quite a few things come late summer and fall. And I know that the first thing I'm going to do with Skid Row, as far as original music, is the third EP in the trilogy of the United World Rebellion trilogy. So
Yeah.
that'll be the first thing I do. And then I think there's the possibility of probably a full-length album, maybe as soon as next year, getting to work on something like that. So I think there's a lot of that makes me really excited, because that'll obviously make me feel much more a part of this legacy.
Right.
And of course, playing live, singing songs that I, maybe co-wrote and recorded, and am the singer on, will make me feel a lot more at home than just going out and singing, the one thing I can say about this band is the songs are fantastic. And
Yeah.
from going through all the material, there's no denying that there's an incredible body of work there. And to be able to go out and sing, whether it's 18 in Life or I Remember You or Youth Gone Wild or whatever, I mean, these were huge, huge songs in America. So for me, being an American singer, even though they weren't my songs, I'll get a big kick out of going out there and singing these songs everybody knows, but with the band that next to the two guys that wrote the songs, for one thing, and also just being able to hit all the TNT fans that have been dying to see me sing with in any capacity.
Right.
So they've been writing to me on all my pages saying, when are you guys coming, or when are you coming, or come with anybody, just come to my city and play. So I'm sure a lot of them would have rather seen me with or would have loved to have, I shouldn't say rather, but would have loved to have seen me with TNT, but they'll see me with Skid Row. And as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty badass. So
let me ask you about that, because you did touch on one thing here, or in fact, there's two things I want to ask you on this. They did write incredibly great songs. Youth Gone Wild, 18 in Life, I Remember. I mean, massive, massive hits. Rachel Bolan and Dave the Snake Sabo are responsible for those. For you as a musician and as a songwriter, are you looking forward to getting into the room with these guys and exchanging ideas and seeing how they did it? Because, I mean, these are some of the iconic songs.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself as much a songwriter as I do a singer. And so, I mean, so far they've been the primary writers, and they've sort of explained to me a little of that. I'd rather not get into it, because that's more something for them to talk about in terms of I mean, they're great writers, so that
right.
There's that, but from what I gather, they just got so used to writing together, and maybe the singers that they had were not contributing, or didn't want to contribute, or I don't really know. That's not really I'm here
right.
now, and I'm going to
talk
about the here and now.
But my point is that you're a good writer, and you've contributed a lot to TNT, so it's sort of like having an all-star team, having you three guys in a room.
That's my viewpoint on it, and
Mine
not
too.
to take anything away from the Skid Row legacy or the brand name, and also
Agreed. No, I'm talking about adding to it, not taking away.
Right, exactly. Right. I mean that's kind of what I'm hoping for, and we've talked about it, and we all have the kind of the same viewpoint, which is basically the best songs make it to the record. And but what I am hoping for is to sit in a room, because that's how I write songs best, is sitting there working with the guitar players and bouncing off of what they're coming up with. And what I'm hoping for really is to my strongest suit. I do write lyrics, and I consider myself a good lyricist, but I love Rachel's lyrics and Snake's lyrics. I think my strong suit is my melody writing and my phrasing, and I know how to write for my voice. So I'm sort of hoping that that's the main area where I can interject, my thing, and so that when the records do come out, that there's not only my voice is there, but my writing influence as it pertains to my voice, because I think that the two things do go hand in hand in many ways. When you write for your own voice as a songwriter, you just tend to automatically gravitate towards melodies and phrasings that work with your way of singing. So
and I really do think that there's also a passion when you're singing your own lyrics rather than you're going oh, here, sing these lyrics, my friend, and good luck to you. I mean, you know,
Well, I
I want
mean,
that to translate in the music too.
yeah, I really like Rachel comes from a very different place, and I really like I like the whole kind of attitude rebellion thing, which has never been in any of my stuff. Not well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I had stuff like Purple Mountain's Majesty, and
Hmm.
I've had some stuff that was sort of approaching that direction, but and some political stuff here and there over the years. But that was more the later TNT. I think that I think I'll find a way to come together with these guys, and I think they're coming from a different place, and I feel like it'll work out great. But again, I think it's going to be. I can feel I can feel where I'll fit in as a writer, you know, with these guys, and I'm hoping that that'll work out really well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other thing you mentioned is you traveled in the same sort of circles back in the '80s, and your fan base is, you know, you're used to being in Europe and traveling with European bands. Um, why is it you think that TNT didn't make a bigger splash stateside? I mean, yes, you had a presence, and yes, the albums came out, but you never played Madison Square Garden as the headliner. You never played the LA Forum. What was it about TNT that it didn't get to that next level stateside?
It was a combination of things. I mean, we did play we played the theater at Madison Square Garden with
Right.
Stryper, but I mean, we played some big places with Stryper, and we did play some big places with Twisted Sister and Great White. We did headline a really successful tour in '89 on the Intuition album, but you know, my viewpoint looking back is our management company at the time was a little bit weak. You know, there's a documentary that I'm in love with right now, which is the Eagles documentary, and I pretty much tell every musician I know, especially young ones that are new to the business, that they could learn a lot from watching that documentary. And there's one section in there where they're accepting their induction into the Hall of Fame, and they thank Irving Azoff. And Don Henley says, you know, I want to thank Irving Azoff. You know, he is Satan, but he's our Satan. And and then they cut to Irving Azoff saying, you know, I consider that a compliment because, you know, I work for the Eagles, and I'm not looking to make friends with other people. My job is to make sure that the Eagles are doing well. And I think that we had a manager who was too busy trying to make everybody happy and trying to make friends with everybody at the label and here, you know, and the agencies and everybody. Right. And I think that's a huge disservice to for a manager to do for an artist. And I do think that I think artists need sharks like Irving Azoff and people like that to fight for them and fight for what's right for them. And we didn't have that. So when it was time for us to, I'll give you a great example. The Tell No Tales album was totally taking off. It was, it was exploding in the U.S. when we toured with Stryper. Loudness was the third act, but we went on first, but we were actually getting bigger than Loudness. And what we really should have done is the label should have put out, everybody was doing the ballad thing. Right. And we had two real good ballads on that record, one of them being Northern Lights. And I was pushing really hard for the label to let us go in and do one more. I said, just one more. Let us do the ballad. Everybody's doing ballads. Let's put Northern Lights out and see what happens. And they said, no, go back to the studio and make another record. So the combination of things like that happening and the manager not fighting for the band and saying, no, let's do this ballad, you know, let's figure out how to do it. I really think that was a moment in time where that record, which was, you know, halfway to gold, that single coming out with a great video could have been, you know, what it took to push us over into the gold or platinum status, which would have changed everything. So, there are a lot of things I can talk about that are similar to that situation, but that was a very important moment in time. Then, of course, though, when Intuition was done, we we got a phone call that it had gone top 10 in Japan on the pop charts or something like that, and it was selling like crazy. And our tour in Japan sold out in 30 minutes. And so we have these little, different successes all over the place as we kind of went forward. But and we have probably more fans in TNT, more fans in America than we do anywhere else, even though we weren't gold or platinum, because it's such a huge country. So if you sell 300,000 albums over, in 2 albums in a row, sell that much. That's a lot of records, but in other countries we were gold and platinum, and we won Grammy awards and that sort of thing. But over here we didn't get there because it's so big. That's my answer. I mean, I carry a lot. I bring a lot of fans with me, I think, into this situation, but we just didn't have the big crack open, breakthrough success that bands like Skid Row had. Not even close.
So what happens for your TNT legacy? I mean, I'm assuming you're never going to go back to the band. Do these songs just die for you, or do you somehow? No. Okay.
No, I mean, look, no way. I still have the records on the wall. The record awards are on my wall, and
right.
But
I mean, live. Are you going to go?
But
I was thinking more live though. Are you going to go do some solo shows at some point? And
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, look, it's part of my legacy. When I move forward with a new solo thing, am I going to? Is it possible that I'll make a dramatic left turn and do a really cool record that's just, exactly what I want to do. One thing that's great about being in a situation like this with Skid Row is it's a well-known enough band that I feel really comfortable making new music and getting on the road, and I feel like it's a really, really solid, good, I hate using the word job, but I am a professional singer, and
it's a good gig.
Therefore, it's a really good gig, and I feel like it will allow me to, when we're not working, which I know isn't going to be, there won't be big chunks of time, but I'm sure there's going to be months, a few months here and there.
Right.
I could see myself diving into very different music that I want to do and things I want to express as an artist, and I'll probably feel less pressure to sell records to an audience that expects a certain thing from me, and I think I'll feel more freedom to just do whatever the hell I feel like doing as a singer.
Yep. And
not feel restrained by this box that people think that I'm supposed to be in, as an artist.
Yeah, and that's what's great about the site like Pledge Music is that you can put whatever you want up there. You don't have an an A&R guy or whatever saying, "Hey, it's got to be this." You got that freedom. And we'll finish with this. You re-recorded 18 in Life, and it came out recently. Yep. Were you trepidatious? Were you scared? Were you excited? Because that there are going to be some that are going to say they like it, but there's going to be a bunch that are going to say, well, it's not the original. Did that even bother you, or what was the?
There's no way to win.
Right. That's what I mean. It was a no-win situation.
I was in the studio recording it, and honestly, I didn't think about it too much before I went down to record it. I know the song. I didn't actually even listen to it too much because I didn't want to get. I didn't want to get it. I didn't want to get it any more in my head than it was already in my head from 20 some odd years ago, and
gotcha.
from going through it with the band during the preliminary audition period, I could say. But I don't know. I didn't. It was something that they wanted to do. When we finished our first meeting, I said to them, "Hey guys, why don't I just kind of record something for you and send it to you?" Because they just came. They showed up to my apartment with an acoustic guitar, and I didn't think that I sang that great. I was in my apartment, and they were happy. But I'm picky, and I'm a perfectionist, and I wasn't happy. And I said, let me record something in my home studio real quick and send it to you just so you can really hear what I will sound like on some of these songs. So I in like a half hour, I just kind of shot them a version of 18 in Life off the top of my head, not knowing that they had the idea of re-recording it for like a while, you know, and they heard it and they flipped out, and that led to, you know, to them saying, you know, we've been wanting to redo this thing. So I said, okay, you know, I'm game. Definitely it's scary. It's a weird thing to do. I never wanted to take anything. You can't take anything away from the original, because the original is always going to stand up in people's minds as what it is. And I don't think that the band or myself had the idea that, yeah, man, we're going to go in and outdo, you know, the original version. And, you know, I mean, I just don't think that's, I mean, I think Journey re-recorded some stuff, and I don't think they had that in their mind. And the purists are never going to accept anything other than Steve Perry, and the Skid Row purists are not going to accept anything but the original version of that song. So I think this is just a way to introduce me and to and just to kind of, you know, cause a stir, you know, and I think it worked, you know. So from that standpoint, I did my best to honor the song. They wanted me to stick pretty closely to all the little details that were there in the original recording. And, you know, I've said it before. I have a lot of respect for Sebastian and what the band accomplished with him. I've got, from listening to the newer material, I have a lot of respect for Johnny and what he accomplished with the band. And so I'm here to put my spin on things as much as I can, and maybe live I will interject a little bit more of myself as time goes forward than I did on this first recording. I didn't want to shock people too much. Some people said, oh, he should have done more of his own thing. Other people criticized different things. I didn't read too much of it, because I'm not really that interested in seeing all the comments. You know, it was to me it seemed mostly positive, and I'm happy with how it came out. So, you know.
Yeah, I dig the track. I think you did a great job on it, and you also did a great job on that on the Kiss Love Gun thing that you did for the A World with Heroes tribute, and I just wanted to thank you publicly for that, because that was a great version as well.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last words? Anything we should add?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you asked me about Bumblefoot. You know, he's a dear friend, and we do want to do some stuff together in the future. We just have to figure out what it is exactly we're going to do. But I never got to answer that question, because we were talking about me doing solo stuff. But yeah, we do want to do something together. So hopefully the relationship that we forged, which has become a really dear friendship, will culminate in some sort of music going forward. And I'm working with a young artist that, if anybody follows me online, they'll see posts quite a bit from a young artist named Rachel Loren, and she's an up-and-coming singer, actress, model, and she's pretty amazing. And I co-produced a version of Def Leppard's Love Bites, just to kind of introduce her to the rock audience. So if people look Rachel Loren, Lorin, and I have a little cameo in the video, and I sang some background vocals on the track, as well as co-produced it. So that's out there. And then we've got a ton of music coming that I've been working on with her. In fact, I'll be in the studio with her tomorrow. So look out for her. And that's something that I'm real passionate about as well, is working with, I have done that over the years from time to time, whether it be the odd band, or I'm very picky about it, though. If I find somebody that I think is amazing, I'll you know, run with that. But generally I work on my own stuff, but I'm real passionate about this particular artist, and we're working quite hard on new music for her. So just want to throw that in there.
Oh, that's great. And of course, people can find you online at TonyHarnell.com.
Yeah, TonyHarnell.com will lead you everywhere. So if you go there, then all my social media is literally just a click away. So everything else you can find through going to that page. So that's the best thing to do.
Best thing to do. Tony, always a pleasure. I've always enjoyed our chats and our communications and stuff. Thank you. And, you know, good luck with the Skid Row. I'm a big supporter of the band, and I like this combination. I liked what Johnny did. And I liked what Sebastian did, which is why I was a fan in the first place. But I'm really excited about what you're going to bring to the mix. So, hey, can't wait.
I appreciate it, and thank you so much for your support. And I'm very appreciative of the Skid Row fan support so far that I've seen, and I'm hoping to win over the naysayers and do my best to carry the Skid Row legacy forward.
Great, thank you, Tony. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye
Okay,
now.
bye.
And there you have it, my interview with Tony Harnell of Skid Row. It sort of feels good to say that, doesn't it, Bill?
That's really cool. You know, he's a great guy, great singer, great writer. I think it's the future's looking really cool for music in general, and especially in the Skid Row camp.
Yeah, and the future's also looking bright for FireHouse. You've got a bunch of shows coming up this summer, like you've always do, and you know, that's great. Any solo shows coming out to support Strong and some of the other music you've put out?
No, I don't. I just do put out recording projects for that. I'd have to block time for FireHouse. That would be rude, and I don't want to do that. And you know, besides, the guys would say, "Oh, really? You want to block like July 4th so you can go do a solo, gig?" Yeah. Well, forget you. So now we have this respect for each other where we don't do that kind of thing. So we make it so we don't want to put each other out of work by doing that. So it's a kind of a mutual agreement.
Yeah, and it works out. Listen, we get cool tunes from you, and we get cool shows from FireHouse. So it's win-win for the fans, I have to admit. So there you go.
Oh, thanks, brother.
And of course, speaking of cool shows, Heavy Montreal takes place August 7th, 8th, and 9th at Parc Jean Drapeau in beautiful Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Let's see, who haven't we mentioned? Bullet for My Valentine, Mastodon, Meshuggah, Testament, Arch Enemy, Lagwagon, and yes, of course, Lita Ford, Warrant, and Dokken. So that's important. Head over to heavymontreal.com for all your ticketing and information needs. Bill, always a pleasure. This was a shorter, quicker, to the point, one-on-one with Mitch Lafon, and of course, one-on-one with Tony Harnell this time. You up for more of these? I'm certainly enjoying it.
Absolutely. I was going to say, man, this is a great show you put on, and I really enjoy being a part of it. I really enjoy listening to it, and thanks for letting me chat with you, bro.
Yeah, and of course, if you haven't had a chance to listen to the interview with David Coverdale that Bill co-hosted on, I certainly suggest you head over to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, and wherever you can find the show, and check that out. That was a moment of gold, I think, right, Bill?
Yeah, that was an education for me. I sat through it and enjoyed every bit of it, and he's just a legend, man.
He really is. And the two things that he mentions that I just want to quickly touch back on is he wants to do a Whitesnake or a David Coverdale blues album and rearrange songs, including Still of the Night, in a blues kind of way, which I think that's an incredible prospect. I would love to hear a blues take of Still of the Night. And after that, oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? I mean, that would just be, and then of course after that he mentioned that he'd like to see all the living members of Deep Purple sort out or work out some kind of show where they could all share the stage for a night, a tour, a few nights. I mean, how cool would that be if everybody got, Richie Blackmore and Ian Gillan and David and Glenn Hughes all sitting up there doing Smoke on the Water and Burn and all those. I mean, wow, right?
I mean, to me, that's a sell. That would sell out multiple nights in stadiums around the world. And if that doesn't get him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I mean, that to me, that band should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 30, 40 years ago. But I don't know who votes for that stuff up there in
New York,
wherever that happens.
Well, it's in Cleveland, right? So
yeah, well, somebody needs to lay off the. Yeah, I won't say it, but
yeah,
they need to get their head out of whatever hole it's in and wake up, because Deep Purple, man, it just doesn't get any better than that, man.
Yeah, and since we're talking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, listen, I love Ringo Starr, but as a solo artist, and he just was inducted, I don't think Ringo solo really changed music. No offense to Ringo, Deep Purple did, and certainly deserve a spot before a solo Ringo. And same thing with Green Day. Green Day is an absolutely fantastic band. Yes, they absolutely did change music, but they came about 30 years later after Deep Purple, and I think out of respect, Purple's sort of gotten a nod first. Not that Green Day shouldn't have gotten a nod, but like in 10 years down the road. Certainly not before Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, and Deep Purple, of course. So there you go. Oh, Bill,
yeah, amen.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Anyway, there you go. Let's go out on a positive note. Check out the David Coverdale interview, and of course, thank you for listening to Tony. And find us on Twitter and Facebook, and share your thoughts on all these shows. You know, nice to have feedback. I check everything and I answer back. So there you go. Thank you, Bill.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mitch. Have a great one, brother.
Thank you. You too.